بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. I remind you, brothers and sisters, to have a sincere intention in your heart when attending the lesson, seeking reward from Allah Ta'ala. Yesterday in our lesson, we spoke about the integrals of ablution, wudu. We mentioned that these integrals, these are the ones that are part of the wudu. They're part of the deed, and without them, the deed would not be valid. Without these 6 integrals that we mentioned yesterday, the wudu would not be valid. However, we also said that wudu has recommended matters, sunnah, and inshallah ta'ala, we'll talk about these another time. Today, inshallah, we will be talking about the invalidators of wudu, meaning, inshallah, I'll talk about this, meaning we will talk about the matters that invalidate the wudu, the ablution, okay? So, according to Imam al-Shafi'i radiallahu anh, the invalidators of wudu are 4 matters. This means if any of these 4 matters occurs, the person's wudu would be invalidated. So if a person performed wudu to pray, and he prayed afterwards, okay? He or she prayed, and later on, one of these invalidators happened, then the person would have to make wudu again before praying, okay? So if any of the invalidators of wudu happens, the person would have to make wudu again before praying, all right? So what are these invalidators of wudu? The first of these is what is emitted, okay, from the eliminatory outlets. So among the invalidators of wudu is that which is emitted from the eliminatory outlets, with the exception of mani. We will clarify, inshallah. So the scholars said then, anything that is emitted from the eliminatory outlets, which are the anus, the vulva, and the penis, anything that is emitted from these eliminatory outlets, except for mani, invalidates one's wudu, okay? Whether this that is emitted is something that is customary, such as urine, for example, or something that is not customary, but it was still emitted from these eliminatory outlets, it would invalidate the wudu. Also, whether it is something that is tangible or gas, because you know, gas invalidates the wudu, okay? So if gas comes out of the anus, it invalidates one's wudu. They said except for mani. Mani, according to Imam al-Shafi'i, does not invalidate one's ablution wudu. However, before one can pray, one would have to make the ghusl, which inshallah ta'ala we'll talk about in another lesson. So according to Imam al-Shafi'i, if mani is emitted, it does not invalidate the wudu. If one's own mani is emitted, it does not invalidate the wudu. However, it renders the ghusl obligatory. So the person would have to perform the ghusl before praying. What is the mani? The scholar said it has particular signs. The mani is the liquid that usually comes out during orgasm, okay? And among its signs, because sometimes something else might come out, which is not mani, all right? So the scholar said it has particular signs by which the person can know whether it is mani or not. Among its signs is that it comes out with the feeling of pleasure, okay, with sensation of pleasure. The person feels pleasure when it comes out. Also among its signs is that it comes out in spurts. Also that it has the smell of dough when wet, and egg white when dry. So if any of these signs is present, then it would be mani. And as we said, one's own mani, if it is emitted, it does not invalidate the wudu. However, the person would have to make ghusl before this person can pray. All right? So then the first nullifier of wudu, the first invalidator of wudu, is what is emitted from the eliminatory outlets except for mani. Okay? The second matter that invalidates wudu is touching the penis, vulva, or anus of a human. Okay, so we're not talking about that of an animal, of a human with the inside part of the bare hand. Okay, so touching these areas, the penis, the vulva, or the anus of a human. When we say anus, we're talking about the rim, okay? We're not talking about the buttocks. With the inside part of the bare hand. The inside part of the bare hand is that area which is concealed when placing one palm on the other, while applying slight pressure and spreading the fingers apart. Okay, whatever is concealed when I do this, whatever is concealed, is covered, this would be part of the inside of the hand, okay? The inside part of the palm. Whatever is concealed, if I do that, one palm on top of the other, I spread my fingers a little bit apart and apply slight pressure. So touching these areas that I mentioned with the inside part of the bare hand would then invalidate the wudu. We said bare, so if there is a barrier in between, it does not invalidate the wudu. If there is a barrier in between, okay, between the area and the hand, the palm, then it does not invalidate the wudu. Such as, for example, if there is cloth, this is counted as a barrier, okay? So that was then the second invalidator of wudu. The third invalidator of wudu is touching the skin of a marriageable female who reached an age at which she is normally desired. So again, here there are specifications that we need to pay attention to so that we know exactly when is it invalidated, okay? So the scholars say then, touching the skin, all right? The skin of a marriageable female. When we're saying marriageable, this excludes what we refer to in Arabic as a mahram. Mahram is a person who one cannot get married to, such as one's daughter, one's sister, okay, one's mother. So when I say marriageable, I'm excluding these people who are not marriageable. So then, what is the invalidator here? Touching the skin of a marriageable female who reached an age at which she is normally desired. At which she is normally desired. So for example, a 3-year-old little girl is usually not desired, okay? So this is excluded as well. So a little girl, a young girl who is, for example, 3 years of age, 4 years of age, she is not normally desired. So she is excluded from this. So then, what is the invalidator here? Touching the skin of a marriageable female who reached at an age at which she is normally desired. Therefore, if a young boy who is not normally desired, okay, touches the skin of a young girl who is not normally desired, this does not invalidate their wudu, okay? Or if he touches the skin of a woman, but he is a little boy, all right? He is a little boy at an age where he is not normally desired. It does not invalidate his wudu. Or, like I said, if a man touches the skin of a young girl who is at an age where she is not normally desired, it does not invalidate his wudu, okay? If there is a barrier, then the wudu is not invalidated, okay? If, however, there is a barrier, meaning he's not really touching the skin, then the wudu is not invalidated, okay? Such as, for example, if he touched, the clothing, or if she was wearing gloves, for example, okay? So there was a barrier. In that case, it does not invalidate the wudu. As to, for example, if a male touches the hair of a marriageable woman, he is not to do that. If she is not his wife, he is not to do that. But this does not invalidate the wudu, okay? If he touches her hair, because this is not the skin. But it does not invalidate his wudu. Nevertheless, as I said, he is not to do that if she is not his wife or mahram to him, okay? So if she is marriageable and not his wife, then he is not to do that, but it does not invalidate his wudu. So we have mentioned 3 invalidators of ablution. And now we will mention the 4th one. The 4th invalidator of ablution is losing one's consciousness. Okay, if a person loses consciousness or losing one's sanity. For example, if a person became insane, or if a person lost consciousness because of epilepsy, for example, or intoxication, or sleeping, except if one is sleeping with one's buttocks firmly seated. In this case, this is an exception. Then the scholar said, according to Imam Shafi'i, this does not invalidate the person's wudu if one is sleeping in such a way that his buttocks is firmly seated, whether that is on the floor or on an animal, for example, if traveling, all right? But sleeping on one's back, on one's right side, or on one's left side, this invalidates one's wudu, all right? So the 4th invalidator then, the 4th invalidator, inshallah, we'll get to that. The 4th invalidator is losing consciousness or sanity, okay? The person became insane. These are the 4 invalidators of wudu, ablution, according to Imam al-Shafi'i. So anything other than these, according to him then, does not invalidate one's ablution, because sometimes some people ask about matters other than these 4 that I just mentioned. So you know now, other than these 4 that I just mentioned, according to this scholar, it does not invalidate the wudu. Dear sister, you asked about if the husband touches the skin of his wife and he has wudu, for example, of course, according to Imam Shafi'i, yes, it invalidates his wudu. Yes, even though she is his wife, he is permitted, of course, to touch her skin, but yes, it invalidates his wudu, okay? And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Inshallah ta'ala, we will talk about a different topic tomorrow, inshallah.